Now, I'm not a mouse enthusiast, which stands for mouse enthusiast, obviously, but I know a good mouse from a bad mouse, a heavy mouse from a light mouse. To quickly recap, though, my mouse history is the Rocat Lua. I've had that for about 18 months. That was like the first actual gaming mouse I had. Then I switched over to a Corsair M65 Pro, and that was for 3 years. Recently, I just swapped to a Corsair Guitar Pro wireless, and that's been for about 6 months. Recently found my old Rocat Lua in a drawer, and I used it for like a day, and I loved it because of how light it was. So basically now I was looking for a wireless version of that. So I went to Corsair.com, looked at wireless mice, finding something that was probably $100 and I'd buy it. Well, it turns out there's nothing that works. They're all stupidly shaped. They look stupid. They're heavy. And to be reasonable, I'm not a very, oddly hand-shaped person. I have roughly a 3-inch middle finger. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to measure that. And so I was scrolling around because I already have a Razer keyboard for editing because they have really good macro supports, and found the Razer Viper Ultimate, which was wireless. It had more than 2 extra macro keys, and so I bought it, got the dock, I got everything, and I basically loved it until the battery came around. It was sad. It's rated for about 70 hours, which is 100% bogus, and that requires the basic 125 hertz polling rate, low power mode, no RGB, no LED, no nothing, basically the absolute minimum. So, since, it's a wireless mouse, it charges, it doesn't use a battery, I was like, okay, so it has a battery pack. You can upgrade the battery pack. Well, I searched and searched and searched and found nothing. Nothing about batteries, nothing about upgrading them, except for this one video by Bearded Bob. I will play the section right here. Basically, he was trying to make the mouse lighter. And what he did was replace the old battery, the old 450 milliamp battery, with something that was like 250 milliamps, as you can see, to make it lighter. I'm trying to do the opposite, where I take the 450 milliamp battery and put in something bigger. And so I look at that, and with his rough estimates that he has, I went for a battery of that similar size. So I looked around on Amazon, and I found a 600 milliamp, 6 by 25 by 35 millimeter battery. It was literally the perfect size. I know it would work. I know it would fit. And one thing to take a note, the Viper Ultimate's battery is wired backwards for some reason. So when you put in the new battery, you have to, first of all, you'll have to cut the connector so you can connect it to the new battery, but you have to wire it backwards. And you can either solder the cable, or you can do the way I used to do it before I had a soldering iron, and that just twists the wires together and then heat shrink on top of it, so then it can't unwind. I sadly lost the recording of when I installed it, so the process is exactly the same as Bearded Bob, except with a different type of battery. Hopefully he doesn't claim this for anything. Since obviously doing something scientific would take weeks, possibly months. Technically, the script that I'm reading right now to you is about 4 months old. Back to the actual battery tests. So basically, it's not a technical scientific test. It's more of a real world test. And so the settings, I will show them on the screen real quick. But basically, it's the 1000 hertz polling rate at 1400 DPI, which is about my normal DPI, which has actually changed from the script. It's now 1350, but as of when I did the test, it was 1400 DPI. No low power mode, no RGB, no lights, no nothing. So how I did the test is, if I ever went away from the computer for more than 10 minutes, or if I was watching a video, or anything that took a lot of time that the mouse would not be used, I would shut off the mouse with the switch. And when it came to gaming, at that time, I was doing roughly 3 hours a day of gaming. So going with the 450 milliamp stock battery that's installed from 100% to 5%, and you'll understand why I say to 5% in a second, I got 40 hours. And once you hit 5%, the mouse automatically goes into a required low power mode. And with that low power mode from 5% until the mouse just stopped working, so basically dead, I got 6 extra hours on that. So from 100% to 5%, that was 2.4% per hour, and in low power mode, it was 0.8% an hour. With the new 600 milliamp battery, I got 45 hours from 100% to 5%. But where it gets interesting is from 5% to dead with the low power mode. I got 18 extra hours, which is 2.1% an hour from 100 to 5 and 0.3% on low power mode. What I think might be happening is that since it's a bigger battery, the software can't technically adjust for that, and so I believe all of the extra battery is all in the last like 10 to 15% of the mouse, which is what I personally saw. So after I got these tests done, I looked around on Reddit and I was seeing what other people were getting with their stock batteries, and the 40-hour estimate, 40 to 50 hours, was actually very common. On one of those posts, I can't find the post sadly, and I probably will never find the post now that it's been 3 months, but there was a comment by Redditor. They stated that low power mode is basically indistinguishable, and it apparently saves 40%. Basically, I think it uses 40% less power. What does that mean? That means I did the tests again. And so since this was after I had replaced the battery, I'll be using math for that. So with the low power mode, with the regular stock battery, you would roughly get about 44 hours from 100% to 5%. With the 600 milliamp battery, I got 50 hours from 100 to 5%, which is 5 extra hours upon the no low power mode, which goes down to only 1.9% rather than 2.1%. Not a huge difference, but it's noticeable. 5 hours is 5 hours. That could be a gaming session right there. Now, since something is in low power mode, usually that has a trade-off of some sort. Luckily, I looked around the web. I found this website, which you're seeing right now, and quick note, it does say so on the top, but sometimes in Chrome or Firefox, it is known that your mouse is limited by your monitor's refresh rate. All I had to do was just go and use it in Internet Explorer. On the test, since everybody uses different DPIs, I did it at 500, 1500, 5000, 10,000, 20,000, just so there's a broad amount of DPIs, and then you can kind of just fill in the rest for the most part. So I did this with power mode off and power mode on, so you can see a difference. With power mode off, I'm going to go down the line, and you'll see this scrolling down. With power mode off at 500 DPI, I got 1.07 millisecond response time. At 1500 DPI, I got 1.06 milliseconds. At 5000, 1.07. At 10,000, 1.05. And 20,000, 1.03. So as you can see, the higher the DPI, the less your response time. It's the time between your mouse doing something and your computer knowing it's doing something. With power mode on, it does change. Power mode on at 500 DPI, that's 1.08 milliseconds, so basically indistinguishable. At 1500, it's 1.09. I did do these tests over and over. I did them about 5 times per DPI. At 5000, it was 1.08 milliseconds. At 10,000, 1.06. And oddly enough, at 20,000, it was dead on 1 millisecond. Most of these were slightly slower, except for 20,000. But the weirder thing was, with low power mode, it doesn't technically add latency, but when I was doing the test, and you'll see like a test pattern of me doing it right now, is there's a deviation, because every time you're doing it, it's a constant update. So say like 1.04, 1.07, 1.09, and so I just got the average number. But with the deviation with low power mode off, the deviation was about 0.06 milliseconds. Is with low power mode, I never got past 0.02. So, long story short, this is 17 to 20 minute video. The Razer Viper Ultimate is not a great wireless mouse when it comes to battery life. When you compare it to like a G Pro wireless, I have read tons of times that they run like 100 plus hours, and their battery size is half of the stock battery on the Razer Viper. And now, the biggest issue that I probably think on the Razer side is them using optical switches. They feel nice, but realistically, if you gave me one with optical and one with mechanical, I'm not going to tell the difference. I'd rather have 20 extra hours of battery life than to have an optical switch, which you can't even replace. So yeah. Was the mod worth it? I mean, not really. Gaining an extra 20 hours, maybe 15 hours extra it's very useful. That's a whole day of extra battery life. But the most importantly, it was fun to do. And this is probably one of the best videos I ever made, ever edited, ever anything. So I really hope you enjoyed and hopefully got some information out of this video. If you did, you're welcome. Leave a like, leave a comment if you have similar ideas. I will be making another Razer Viper Ultimate video, mostly on just wireless mice in general, and I think it's going to be just as in-depth as this one is, and it's going to be just as resourceful, in my opinion. So yeah, hope you guys have a good day. Thank you for watching, if you watched all the way through, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which I should hopefully get out within the next month. Thank you.